to Krishna took him to Bhishma Dev. He was able to learn how to rule the kingdom so well. Sorry about that. Krishna took him to Bhishma Dev. He was able to learn. So Yudhishthira learned how to rule the kingdom. He was not dejected anymore because Bhishma Dev told him that only the righteous person should be ruling the kingdom, and Bhishma Dev was very happy that Yudhishthira is going to be the next king, and he'll take care of the kingdom and the citizens just like his own family. And then after Yudhishthira got all the instructions, Bhishma Dev was getting ready to leave his body and go back home. So he said some very, very nice prayers and about Krishna. He was remembering the different aspects of Krishna in his life. And he said he wants to meditate on Krishna, and like Radha Chaitra ji said, he meditated on the four-handed form of Krishna, and he left his body. And before he left his body, he talked about how Krishna came running with the wheel on his with the chariot wheel to attack Bhishma, and and Krishna was broke his vow that he won't lift a weapon just to please Bhishma Dev in the war, because they had a relationship of chivalry. So he was really liking how Krishna was running in the battlefield like a warrior towards Bhishma Dev. And then Arjuna fell on the feet of Krishna not to attack. And Arjuna promised that he will fight well. So all those aspects Bhishma Dev mentions, and all the all the great acharyas, they all came to witness Bhishma Dev leave his body. So that's where we left off last class. Now we'll discuss Krishna leaving Dwaraka. So that is chapter 10 of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, before we do that, we should recite these prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, and unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shrinvantam Swakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Hi Abhadrani Vidyunoti Suhrit Satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desires of material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta Praeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in class on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Okay, so then we go into today's topic, which is Krishna leaving Hastinapur and moving to Dwaraka. So at this point, what happened was Krishna actually stayed in Hastinapur for a long time, where the Kurukshetra war happened, and then Yudhishthira and all of them were pleading Krishna, don't leave, don't leave. They were very afraid to live without Krishna because they were seeing the Supreme Lord next to them. So nobody wants to leave the Lord. So this chapter starts by Shaunaka Rishi. And who is Shaunaka Muni or Shaunaka Rishi? So sometimes, the camera shifts to where the discussion is happening from the story. So who remembers who Shaunaka Rishi is and who is he talking to? So Shaunaka Rishi asks this question. How did Yudhishthira rule the planet after Krishna established him as a king? Because Krishna removed all the bad demons from the world and bad people with the Kurukshetra war, and only the Pandavas and the nice, righteous people remained. So then Shaunaka Rishi asked this question to whom? So we discussed Srimad Bhagavatam is conversation within a conversation within a conversation happening. And sometimes we hear about Suta Goswami talking to Shaunaka Rishi, and they are in a forest of Naimisharanya. They're discussing about the topic of Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam there. And Suta Goswami had heard this from Sukadeva Goswami, who was narrating this to Parikshit Maharaj, right? Who had only 7 days to live. So we already discussed about Parikshit Maharaj, how he was born, and all that is happening in this context here, in this part of the story. So after the Kurukshetra war, Ashwadhama sent the Brahmastra to Uttara's womb to hurt the baby, but then Krishna saved the baby, and Parikshit was born. So then the same Parikshit, when he grew up, he was about to die, and that's when Sukadeva Goswami describes the Srimad Bhagavatam to him, and in that assembly there was Suta Goswami who heard this, and then he is telling the story to all the rishis who have come together to hear about Krishna in the forest of Naimisharanya. So the head rishi among those rishis are Shaunaka. This Shaunaka Muni was asking about Yudhishthira, so he's answering now. So he answers that Krishna established Maharaj Yudhishthira as the king after all the the fighting happened, and this fighting is described as a bamboo fire of anger. So do you know why the fighting within the family is described as a bamboo fire? Anybody wants to throw anybody wants to take a guess why Suta Goswami is describing the fighting as a bamboo fire? So bamboos, they catch fire pretty fast, and usually what happens is, because of the wind, these bamboos start rubbing against each other. There's a lot of friction, and that starts a fire. So wherever there is no Krishna, or there are people who doesn't care about God, they fight with each other thinking, oh, I need more property. Just like in the world now, Russia is attacking Ukraine and trying to get that property and add it to themselves. So there are so many innocent people dying. So why should humans fight other humans, right? But it doesn't make any sense, because we are not going to take any of this when we die. Everybody lives here for a few years and they leave. So why is there fighting? Nobody can think straight. They are just, fighting for no reason, just like bamboos rubbing with each other and catching fire. The reason is they don't have, they're not connected to God, or they don't understand what life is all about. They don't understand that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. Our soul never dies. So when we leave the body, the soul enters another body. So all those aspects are not known. If all the leaders in the world knew all this, there would be no fighting. So similarly, Kurukshetra war happened because Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, they were totally forgetful of God and what their true reason for their birth is. They were forgetting that. So they just wanted more and more and more and more property, and they were fighting for that. So that's why it's described as bamboo fire of anger. That caused this whole destruction. So after speaking to Bhishma Deva, Yudhishthira ruled as a very, very nice king. And during Yudhishthira's rule, the earth produced a lot of nice crop, and there was abundance. There was milk from the cows, and the cows were so happy they were actually moistening the ground with milk. That much extra milk was there. So whenever there's a good king or a good leader, you'll feel abundance and less natural calamities happening, because the earth is so happy with the kingdom, and the king and the citizen, all of them are serving each other very well, and you don't see a lot of misfortune happening during that time. So Yudhishthira was such a king who learned from Bhishma Dev, and he was also instructed by Krishna himself. So everything was happening very nice. The rivers never flooded, the ocean was happy, the hills, mountains, forests, creepers, everything was growing so nicely. So there was no like mental stress. So when there people lose their job, there is stress. People are sick, there is stress. When there is bad weather happening, whether it's heat and cold and tornadoes and all that coming, that produce a lot of stress. But none of that was happening when Yudhishthira was ruling, because everything was happening so well, and everybody was pleased with each other and Yudhishthira. So all this started happening, and then Krishna, he stayed there for a few months actually, until all this was settled down. And then he wanted to make all his relatives, like all the Pandavas are his relatives. Do you know how Pandavas are related to Krishna? Anybody?
Oh.
Okay.
Because Mother Kunti was Krishna's aunt, I think, so they were his cousins.
Yes. So Krishna's father is Vasudev, and Vasudev's sister is Kunti, who's the mother of the Pandavas. So Krishna and the Pandavas are cousins. So he stayed there so that all of them were pleased and happy. And then he also stayed there because his sister was married to Arjuna, and she was there. Do you know the name of Krishna's sister who was married to Arjuna?
Subhadra?
Yes, very nice, Radha Chaitraji, Subhadra. So he wanted to make sure his sister was also happy. So he stayed there for a few months. And then he was getting ready to leave by first, he's the Supreme Lord. He can do as he wishes, but he still has permission from the king, Yudhishthira, to say, "O king, can I please leave? Now that you're settled down and everything is happening good, it is time for me to go back to my own kingdom of Dwaraka. And everybody's waiting for me there. They haven't seen me for many, many months." So though reluctantly, Yudhishthira gave permission. Again, Krishna doesn't have to ask permission, but see how Krishna is following all the rules. So just like that, all of you, when you go to school, you have to be courteous to your teachers, ask permission to do something. Even if you are the best student in class, that doesn't give you the right to break the rules or be disrespectful to the principal or teachers. So you see, even though Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he makes the rules, he's still asking permission from Yudhishthira to leave. And then and when they heard, when all the relatives like Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, there's Yuyutsu, Kripacharya, Nakula, Sahadeva, Bhima, then there is Daumya Rishi, and then there is Satyavati. All of them, when they heard Krishna is leaving, they almost fainted because they were really loving being with Krishna all the time, and they couldn't bear the separation from Krishna, and they nearly passed out. And then so the Pandavas, they couldn't tolerate the separation from Krishna, and they were seeing the Supreme Lord face to face, touching him, conversing with him, talking to him, like sleeping next to him, sitting next to him, dining and eating with him. They couldn't think about Krishna leaving, so they were all very, very sad. So and all the men were like they couldn't even close their eyes. They were thinking about Krishna leaving, and they were moving hither thither. They said they were moving back and forth with the news that Krishna is going to leave. And all the females, so the males are walking hither thither, and the females, their eyes were flooded with tears, and they were crying, but then they were fighting their tears, and not to show their tears to Krishna because it might bring some misfortune during departure. Usually people cry when there's something bad that happens that they can't control, and they started cry. But they didn't want the tears to bring any misfortune to Krishna's departure, so they fought their tears and tried to stop crying. Then outside there were many different kind of musical instruments, drums and a veena, and all these the flutes and the big trumpets. They were all making a sound that to give Krishna a good seeing him off with good festivities, so that they're making that a festival of Krishna leaving to Dwaraka. And then all the ladies in Hastinapur, they all went to their terraces on the roof, so that they can see Krishna as he was leaving, and shower their flowers upon the Lord. So now we'll go into the prayers of these nice people who are praying to the Lord in their from their terraces or their roofs while Krishna is leaving. So also Arjuna was the one holding a nice umbrella over Krishna, the white umbrella you see. So this is actually Arjuna, who's holding this nice white umbrella over Krishna. And then there was Satyaki and Uddhava are the two people fanning Krishna. So they were all trying to serve Krishna while he was still there. And this umbrella that Arjuna was holding was full of jewels. There were, like, you see the laces on it, and the stick of the umbrella had all jewels studded on them, and the laces had pearls in them. So they're using their best articles to serve Krishna while he's leaving. So and then it is said that the prayers that the all the people were presenting to Krishna is even better than the hymns in the Vedas, because it's out of love for Krishna. And Krishna is attracted by love, not by the Sanskrit verses that somebody by hearts and says. He just wants directly from your heart what prayers you're going to say was making him feel happier. And so next we go into these wonderful prayers by these devotees. So they say, "Oh Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord." Now in Bhagavatam, that's the main thing. So all these prayers are highlighted so that we can understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, because all of them, we heard Mother Kunti say that, we heard Bhishma Dev say that. Now all the citizens of Hastinapur are saying, Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and you are higher than all the modes of nature. Like goodness, passion, ignorance, all that is lower than you, and none of that affects you also. And then they talk about the philosophy that everybody are just small, tiny sparks, and Krishna is like the huge sun, and we are like the small spark, which has the same quality. Small spark has the same quality as the big sun, but the small spark is not the sun. So they are discussing these aspects when they pray to Krishna. Yeah, and they say that the like worshiping the form of Krishna is the most happiest thing to do, and the best thing for all the devotees. They want to see Krishna as a person and worship him because they really love him as a person. They're not thinking of Krishna as energy, because there are other people who think of God as energy. They think God is present in my heart, but they don't actually look at the personal form of the Lord. So all devotees like the personal form of the Lord, and they are describing that. And they're saying all the essence of all the scriptures that you can find about God is to know Krishna and worship him and love him. And they're thinking about Mathura, which was such a nice place where Krishna was born, and that whole place is blessed by Krishna's birth there, which is not too far from Hastinapur. They're thinking about that place. Now Krishna is going to Dwaraka, where everybody's waiting for him, and they're thinking, oh, how fortunate those citizens are, where Krishna is going back to them, and Krishna has his friends, his wives, his relatives. They're all just waiting for Krishna to arrive. And next class, we'll be discussing about how they receive Krishna. Now, this one is the citizens of Hastinapur. They're saying farewell to Krishna. And then next class, we'll see how Dwaraka receives Krishna. So the wives are waiting for him. His sons, such as Pradyumna, Samba, they are all waiting for Krishna. So Krishna actually, once he heard all these wonderful prayers, how did Krishna accept it? We know Krishna smiled at Kunti. So similarly, Krishna gave a glance, meaning Krishna looked at each person when they were praying to Krishna and bid farewell to them, and that was enough to see Krishna looking at them and smiling was the greatest thing for them. And Maharaj Yudhishthir, as Krishna was leaving, he got his army ready so that for protection, Krishna is the greatest protector, but his devotees want to protect Krishna. So Yudhishthira was sending elephants, chariots, horsemen, the infantry who are foot soldiers, all of them, as Krishna was leaving as a guard for Krishna. And they also followed Krishna. As Krishna was leaving, they were leaving, and Krishna was they were accompanying Krishna on the way. And then Krishna said, "Oh, no, now you have to go back, because how long will you come with me?" So then they all they bid farewell and they left back. And the other thing was Krishna passed through many kingdoms. Hastinapur is in North India, next to is modern day Delhi. And then he has to go all the way to Gujarat, where that's on the west side of India. So that's a good amount of travel from there, North India to the west of India. And Krishna was traveling in his chariot. And Krishna was passing many provinces as he was going. So that's a Matsya kingdom, Saraswata kingdom, there's a desert, Rajasthan is on the way, Abira province. So he covered all these places before he reached Dwaraka. And another important aspect is in the evenings while Krishna was traveling, he would stop his journey and do all the rituals he used to follow. So it's very important. So Krishna is showing us by example that even though he's the Supreme Lord, he didn't travel night and day to just finish his work. Whatever he used to do in the evenings, all the daily habits he had, he stopped and did all that. So whether it's praying or honoring prasadam with everybody who's traveling with him, all those nice etiquettes he was following. So we can learn from the Supreme Lord that even though we are very busy, our most important things we do every day, we should do at the right time. And even though we have to stop our journey to do that. So there ends today's class. Now we'll go to the Kahoot quiz. So is everybody ready? Okay, the game pin is 8834371. Hey, Radha Chaitra ji is in. Sonakshi ji joining? Diana? Okay, ice girl. Winter is over, so maybe you have to become water girl soon. Okay, Ayana, are you in? Okay. Somebody joined us, Krishna. Okay. Okay, what kind of fire is used to describe the fight within the Kuru dynasty? Coal fire, nuclear fire, bamboo fire, gasoline? Yes, it was a bamboo fire. We discussed how the bamboos brush against each other and start a fire. So similarly, people who are misguided, who don't have Krishna in their life, they fight for no reason. Okay, Radha Chaitraji is in first place. Then comes Sonakshiji, then Ayana. Second question, why did Krishna live in Hastinapur for a few months before returning to Dwaraka? Pacify relatives in Hastinapur. Please, Sister Subhadra. All of the above, none of the above.
I accidentally clicked none of the above.
Oh,
No.
so he is actually wanting to make his sister happy and also pacify his relatives who just went through the war and they really didn't want him to leave. Okay, Sonakshiji is in first place. Very good. True or false? King Yudhishthira did not give permission to Krishna to return to Dwaraka. False. Very good. Fourth question. All the relatives nearly fainted to see Krishna leave. True or false? True. Very good. Why did the female relatives stop their tears out of difficulty? Didn't want to look less beautiful, didn't want to spoil their clothes with tears, didn't want Krishna to see them with tears, didn't want any misfortune at time of Krishna's departure. Yes. They're thinking about Krishna, even though they were tears were coming, they were trying to fight the tears and not show their tears. Okay, Radha Chaitraji is back in first place. And then Sonakshiji, then Ayana. Okay, who held a jeweled umbrella embroidered with laces and pearls above Krishna's head? Yudhishthira, Arjuna, Dhritarashtra, Nakula. Arjuna, very good. That's the picture, right? What are the prayers of the ladies in the houses as left described to be better than? So, is it better than the hymns of the Vedas, poetry, chanting, kirtan? So, it's better than the Vedic hymns, is what it says in Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's coming from their heart out of love for Krishna. Okay, second last question. How did Krishna reciprocate to everyone present at the time of his departure? Glancing over them, shaking their hands, hugging, kissing. So glancing means just looking at them. And they were very happy to just see Krishna look at them. Last question, true or false? During Krishna's travel, he did his evening rituals by suspending his journey. True or false? Very good. So let's see. Third place goes to Ayana. Second place goes to Radha Chaitraji. And first place goes to Sonakshiji. Congratulations to all the winners. Amazing performance today, coming to hear about Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam and playing the kahoot. All of you have a wonderful week ahead. Vancha kalpatarupascha kripa sindhubhyo evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hari Hari Bol.